The Milwaukee Bucks are one of the better teams in the NBA this season, starting off the season 9-0 and currently have a record of 23-12, which is good enough for the third seed in the Eastern Conference. And mind you, they're doing all of this without their second best player in Chris Middleton. So you would think that would make them a top contending team and lead you to believe that they will make a deep playoff run and ultimately a championship run. That just may not be the case. We have a video here today called Giannis and the Bucks Look Like Frauds Again. Now, I haven't watched the video yet. I haven't watched anything. I started to read the comment section and I saw this first comment. Please watch the video before you pass judgment. Though I know some may not. So maybe this is just a clickbait title. Maybe I'm getting clickbaited. But let's just hop in and see. Let's just hop in and see what he has to say.
Time to re-up YouTube. Your boy Young Mustard is back with another video. Today we're gonna talk about the team that I thought was going to be the best team in the NBA, and you can still make that argument when they're fully healthy. That is the Milwaukee Bucks. If you remember, I predicted the Bucks to be #1 in the league on my season preview. I titled it, I think, Giannis is the reason why, or something like that. But regardless, unfortunately, they're not really living up to the standards that I thought they would have this season. And that's not to say that they're not.
We're gonna stop it right there. What standards did you have for these niggas? What standard did you have for these niggas coming off? Okay, maybe he thought Chris Middleton was going to play at the beginning of the season, but Chris Middleton has only played probably 2 full games this season. He's not, I wouldn't even say he's in and out the roster. He's just out of the roster. And when he is playing, he isn't looking like himself. What standards did you have for this Milwaukee Bucks team, sir? Please tell me, especially at the beginning of the season when we knew Chris Middleton wasn't going to be playing. I need to know.
Having a relatively good year. They're second in the Eastern Conference. And they started off the year 9-0.
Yeah.
They've had some bright spots throughout the entire season, but unfortunately, since that 9-0 stretch earlier on, they haven't looked like the same team. And it really makes me wonder, because there are times I watch this team and visually they just look so gross and disgusting, and Giannis is a part of that. I am not going to absolve him at all. It sometimes gives me flashes to the old Milwaukee Bucks team, even though they're obviously not the same team.
I'm gonna hear him out.
I'm more so talking about the aura that they give of being frauds. And in today's video, we're going to address that. Are the Milwaukee Bucks back to being the fraudulent team that they once were when they had that smelly, disgusting NBA player known as
Drew Bledsoe?
But before we get started with this video, if you are not subscribed, what are you doing?
Not Drew
Hit
Bledsoe.
that subscribe button ASAP, just like that. Also, do not forget to hit that bell for post notifications, because you can stay updated with any single piece of content.
I keep looking at my dog. Keep jumping in the window.
You don't want to miss it. And don't forget to like this video. But without further ado, let's get back to the subject of discussion and talk about the Milwaukee Bucks, because I have a lot of things to say. For starters, the Bucks this year have been a great defensive team, which has been kind of like the thing with them over the last.
Brook Lopez is #1 in the Defensive Player of the Year race, which it blew my mind. Giannis isn't even top 5, and Brook Lopez is leading the Defensive Player of the Year race. That's crazy.
Last couple of seasons, especially since Coach Bud.
But they're always going to be a good defensive team. They have one of the best perimeter on-ball defenders in Drew Holiday, and then you have Giannis and Brook Lopez, who Giannis can guard the perimeter, but he's more useful on help defense. So you have one of the better perimeter defenders in the league. You have one of the best help defenders in the league. You have one of the best rim protectors in Brook Lopez, and I guess Giannis too. So they're always going to be a good defensive team. Defense is never going to be the problem with the Milwaukee Bucks ever again.
Has entered the scenario. I mean, when you have guys like Drew Holiday, Javon Carter, Brook Lopez, Giannis, it's no shocker that they're one of the 5 best defenses in basketball. Brook Lopez right now looks like the Defensive Player of the Year. If I'm not mistaken, he averages around nearly 3 blocks a game. I believe he leads the league in blocks per game. He's been insane with his rim protection this season. Throw in Giannis, who's one of the best help defenders in the league.
Hey, he's still in my whole flow.
Brook Lopez, pull him out the paint. Once you blow past him, Giannis is right there to meet you at the rim with the help defense. You have Drew Holiday on the perimeter, one of the best perimeter players.
He just stole my entire flow, but I like it. I like it. Great minds think alike. Great minds think alike.
best in the league, can fight over screens, move his feet laterally, get in passing lanes, clamps on the perimeter legit. Jevon Carter also a really underrated defender in his own right. And think about it, Chris Middleton has barely played this season and he's a positive defender in his own right. So that's just a testament to how good those other guys are and how they can uphold this team's defense. But that's truly not the problem with this team at all. It actually is their offense, which is so surprising considering what the Bucks have been in recent years. Okay. This is a team that since they hired Coach...
Okay, I'm not going to listen to somebody talk about how bad the offense is when their second best offensive player isn't playing and their third best offensive player in Drew Holiday is probably the most inconsistent guard I've ever seen play. Like Drew Holiday is so inconsistent. One day he'll go off for 25 and then the next 5 games he'll drop like 12 points on 35% shooting. Like Drew Holiday is so inconsistent that it's frightening. But when Drew Holiday locks in, yo, you cannot beat the Milwaukee Bucks. If Drew locks in, Chris Middleton is playing like Chris Middleton, and Giannis, he's obviously going to be the most consistent player on the team. Like, you can't stop them.
Bud has been a top 5 offense consistently in either points per game or offensive rating, or even both. But take your guess where the Bucks are right now in points per game.
They're probably
and
like
offensive
20th
rating this year.
20.
Are they top 5? No. Are
They're
they top
like
10?
20.
No. Are they top 15? No. They're not even top 15. They are 17th in points per game and offensive rating. That is not going to get it done for a team that actually has championship expectations.
I'm not gonna say nothing yet. I'm just listen. I'm hearing out.
Everybody individually, they're all putting up relatively decent stat lines. Giannis averaging his over 30 points per game, and even though he's been struggling as of late, and we're gonna get to that, he's still having a good.
When did this video come out? Oh, when did this video come out? This video came out 4 days ago. He's been struggling as of late? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Okay, he said he's been struggling of late. I was just going to look only a couple of games back, but we're just going to look at the whole month of December. So starting off December 2nd, he had a 5 assists, 7 rebound game. A 34 point, 5 assists, 13 rebound game. Like 35, 28. He struggled right here against Houston, which is crazy to lose to Houston and only put up 16 points. Then he got back with a 30-point game, a 19-point game against the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies are a great defensive team. And then this last stretch of like 6 games, he's been averaging like 40 and 10, 42 and 10, 45 and 10, 26 and 10, 27. And I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong stats. Sorry. 45 and 14, 26 and 13, 27 and 9, 45 and 22. A 45-22 game is crazy. And then a 43 and 20 game. He had back-to-back 40-20 games. Now his plus minus, that plus minus is nasty. But sometimes plus minus isn't really the player's fault. Like, it's really just a representation of like how much you score. I'm sorry, how much your team score opposed to how much the opponents score when you're on the court. So it really doesn't have much to do with you unless you're the player that's getting attacked consistently and you're the player that's getting scored on and you're the one that's jacking up shots and missing. But that's not the case. Like this game, he shot 60%. 2 games, he shot 40%. That's not that great. 70%, 63%, 70%. Like, he's not shooting terribly, but he still has a plus minus of minus 20. Hey, you. Yeah, you're halfway into the video, so I know you're enjoying the content. Go down there and hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to hit 500 subscribers by the end of January. So if you like me, if you like this type of videos that I do, go down there and hit that subscribe button. Let's get back to the video.
Good season offensively. Drew Holiday is playing well, some of the best basketball of his career. Brook Lopez is shooting over 40% from 3 and over 50% from the field and averaging around 15 points per game. Jevon Carter is shooting 38 points per game off the bench. Grayson Allen is shooting a high volume from 3 and is still knocking down, I believe, over 43% of his shots from behind the arc. The only person I would say that would be disappointing a little bit offensively is Bobby Portis, as he's shooting below 30% from behind the arc, and he's kind of supposed to be a stretch big. It's weird how him and Brook Lopez just swap powers with their 3-point shooting this year, but hey, it is what it is. Nonetheless, though, outside of Bobby P, there are a couple of other disappointments with their play. George Hill, I don't expect too much from him, but even when he plays, I don't know really what he does. He's not a good floor spacer anymore, and defensively, he's not a liability, but his size can be exploited. And the same thing goes with Pat Connaughton. He was definitely one of the more improved players on this team over the last couple of seasons, but this year has been
Pat Connaughton's defense kind of been good. I won't say Pat Connaughton's defense make up for his offensive struggles. Him and Grayson Allen are two of the guys that are really killing the Milwaukee Bucks right now. If you want to talk about offensive rating and offensive points per game, him and Grayson Allen are really killing them because they are only on the floor to knock down three. That is what they're on the floor for. They're on the floor for if Giannis is double teamed, if Giannis is penetrated, and then their defender drops down to help out on defense. They are supposed to be there to knock down those shots. Now, I don't know their numbers off the top of my head. I could probably look them up. I might look them up. But when I watch them play, I don't believe they're shooting a great percentage from three-point range. Yeah. Pat Connaughton, that's look, I underestimated. They are shooting terribly. Well, at least Pat is. Pat is shooting 30% from the three-point line this season, and Grayson Allen is shooting 38% from the three-point line this season. Now, 38% isn't bad. 38% isn't something to just look at and be like, oh, he's inefficient. But he should be in the 40s range. He should be shooting around like 40, 44, 45% from the three-point line because that's what you're there to do. You're not taking a lot of threes because you're only averaging 10 points per. So you're not taking a lot of threes and you're not making those threes that you do take. So those two guys are a big reason why the offensive struggles are there, because a lot of teams, this is how it is with the Bucks. A lot of teams are going to build a wall against Giannis. And a majority of the time, that won't work. But the times when it does work is when the people who are supposed to be knocking down the threes, they're not knocking down the threes. Sag off of Pat Connaughton. They can sag off of Grayson Allen to go and help on Giannis because they know that they're not going to hit the shots. Now, if you're consistently making those shots, and it opens up the floor a bit more for Giannis to go one-on-one, or they're late on the rotation because they have to worry about Pat Connaughton and Grayson Allen, or even if they're on the rotation, Giannis can just dish the ball out, and that's an easy three. But that hasn't really been happening this season, along with, obviously, this is my last time mentioning him, obviously Chris Middleton. He's not on the court, so that takes away that extra body that's supposed to be an extra body that the defender has to worry about on the offensive end. So it's just, most of the time, it just collapses on Giannis. Giannis kicks the ball out, and then somebody misses a three. So that's one of the main reasons why their offensive rating and their points per game is so low
on either side of the ball this year, especially offensively, because I'm already not expecting that much on the defensive end. Out of the guys that are getting decent on defense, minutes, and I'm talking about 25 plus minutes a game, those guys are playing relatively decent and up to their expectations, if not even superseding them. So what is the big problem with this Bucks offense? Well, for one, Chris Middleton has barely played, and when he has played, he hasn't looked that good. As in the 7 games that Middleton has played, he is averaging a measly 11 points a game, 4 assists and 3 rebounds, as well as just less than a steal. 32% shooting from the field though, and on 6 attempts from behind the arc is shooting 27%
on 11 points is nasty.
Middleton is a big part of their offense, especially on that wing. He's a guy that can go out there and do basically everything. He can play off the ball, he can play on the ball, he can operate the pick and roll. He's a good ball handler and decision maker. He's not really great at getting to the rim the way he used to, but he's a great floor spacer. He can knock down the mid-range shot. He can do the turnaround, pull-up fade. He can do a lot of things in his bag. People really underrate how good of an offensive player Chris Middleton was in his prime. And I say that because there's a good chance that we may never see that Chris Middleton again. I'm just saying. Middleton is 31 years old and is coming off of a pretty noticeable injury that has knocked off a lot of time in his career so far this season. I'm just going to be real here. We have to face the possibility that Chris Middleton might be aging. It was only 7 games, so I'm not going to jump on Chris Middleton and say, oh my God, how can you play this poorly? But I'm not going to have super high expectations expectations for an aging player who is coming off of a pretty major injury in his career. And it's very obvious that has affected this team to a huge degree. Jrue Holiday is now the number 2 option, and in all reality, he is not a number 2 guy. At best, he is a number 3 guy, as they showed in the 2021 playoffs when they won the championship with him being the 3rd option. That then also alleviates more pressure on a guy like Brook Lopez to be the number 3 guy, when we know in all actuality Brook Lopez is not no damn number 3 guy on a
How are they frauds? We 7 minutes into the video. How are they frauds, sir? How are they frauds?
Team, and so on and so forth. That puts more responsibility on
halfway through the video
else. And these games will usually just come down to, is Giannis gonna drop 30 and is everybody else gonna live up to their standards? And usually that does happen, but it's very easy for that not to happen when everybody game plans for Giannis, which leads me into a big issue that I've had with Giannis this season. Giannis this year has had a relatively up and down season. He's in the MVP conversation, obviously, and when I say this, I'm not saying this to be biased towards Giannis. I mean, hell, you guys see his jersey on my wall. I have no issue with Giannis as a player. He is my favorite player in the league. But unfortunately, I'm not going to lie, Giannis does have some issues with his playmaking, and a lot of those issues just stem from the fact that Chris Middleton is not there, but they have to be prepared for that scenario not only in the regular season but potentially come playoff time, because who really knows? We saw what happened last year, and it's kind of picking up where it left off this year so far in the regular season. Giannis sometimes does bull rush into the paint, and there are times that he does miss some easy reads to his teammates on the perimeter. And I'm not saying Giannis is not a good playmaker. That's not what I'm saying.
This is nothing new.
There are times that he does have lapses in his judgment, and it'll result in these banana peel turnovers.
That's
whether it's like
that's not an
offensive foul,
first of all.
And it'll result in these banana peel turnovers.
I wouldn't call that
travel, whether it's just a double dribble or he.
But I don't know. This is Giannis. Giannis has always been that type of player. He bulldozes, puts his head down. You saw that a lot in the in that 2021 playoff run. He got called for a lot of offensive fouls that playoff run. Even in the finals, he was getting called for, I wouldn't say a lot, but he was still getting called for, you know, a majority of the offensive fouls that was for the Milwaukee Bucks. But it's nothing new. He's always been this type of player. I don't know.
He charges into somebody.
He does
or
that.
It's him just dribbling the ball off his foot or something.
Giannis
does have some very careless and reckless turnovers that are so detrimental to the momentum of this Bucks team.
I thought he was going to talk about his shot selection. If anything, I would have thought he would have brought up Giannis' shot selection. Giannis' shot selection this season has been a bit poor. He's trying to stretch out the floor a little bit more with the 15, 20-footer. He's even trying to shoot a couple of threes per. I think he's up to like 4 or 5 threes per. I don't know. But if anything, I thought he would have talked about his shot selection, not something that he's always done. He's always done this. You can go back. If you watch Giannis, you know he makes stupid plays. He fumbles the ball off his foot. He doesn't really have a nice handle like that. So if he's on a good defender, he can't just drive past him. He's going to lose the ball. He's going to turn the ball over. That happens. That happens to every player. That is so confusing.
Offensively, this team is struggling a lot more than they should. Giannis does need a second guy that can go out there, create his own shot, and create offense for himself consistently. Jrue Holiday is good at doing that, but he's not a number 2 guy. He's not supposed to be your second option if you want to have a top 5 or even top 10 offense in the NBA. And I'm not saying it's impossible, but if we're talking about real championship contention, that kind of offense is just not going to work come postseason time. As we saw last year, Jrue Holiday's flaws were easily exploitable by that Celtics defense, and it was a big reason why the Bucks lost that series. Now that then brings me to the title of this video. Are the Bucks frauds? Because when you see them face a team like the Celtics, like they did on Christmas, or even the Nets, where they got just stomped by Brooklyn, one of the concerns I really have for this team isn't even a Giannis, Middleton, Jrue thing at all. It actually is a Grayson Allen thing. I like Grayson Allen. He's a good floor spacer, plays with the edge as well. He's been doing that ever since college. But the problem that I have is that he is so bad on defense, and I'm very afraid for those nights that he's going to be terrible offensively, where he's just not making his shots like he did in that Celtics series, and then they're still giving him minutes because Coach Bud doesn't know how to make adjustments to save his life. Javon Carter should actually be getting a lot more.
And that's a crazy thing. because I think I brought it up in one of my previous videos about that Celtics Bucks series last year. Bud would not make that adjustment because they would always run the pick and roll. They would run the pick and roll and get Grayson Allen to guard Jason Tatum. They'll get that mismatch. And every single possession, it's the same move. Okay? Jason Tatum, dribble, sidestep, score. Dribble, sidestep, score. Takes Grayson Allen to the paint, score. Turn around, fade away on Grayson. Like 5 possessions in a row. And then Bud is just, Coach Bud's over there just like nigga, take him out. Take him out of the game. He's not doing anything. What is this? What is this going to do? Is this going to stop Jason Tatum? You just throwing your hands up? Like, come on. Like, I don't think that's a different video for a different time, but Bud is not a good coach. He is not a good coach. He cannot make adjustments. He's going to ride with whatever adjustment he made for the team before the game starts. He's going to carry that on through the rest of the fucking game. It's not going to be no adjustments at halftime. It's not going to be no adjustments in game 2, 3, 4. Whatever adjustments he make initially or whatever plan he makes initially, they are going to stick with that plan. Bud cannot coach.
Minutes than he does at times, because I understand that Grayson Allen is a floor spacer, but Javon Carter is shooting the ball very well this year. Like I said earlier, he's shooting 39% from behind the arc. He's a nice passer, and on top of that, he's a good defender. So I really don't know what the obsession with giving Grayson Allen so many minutes that Coach Bud is infatuated with. If I'm the Bucks, I'm definitely putting Grayson Allen on the trade block. If I can get a 3-and-D wing out of him, I definitely would, even though that is easier said than done. It really makes you wonder, is this team really championship worthy?
Yes,
I mean, they've had injuries throughout the whole season. Jrue Holiday has missed some games. Chris Middleton obviously has missed the majority of the season. Hell, even Giannis has missed some games here and there. I'm gonna still say no. When you have a player like Giannis, who is still one of the top 5 players in the NBA, I don't think that you can just overlook that, combined with the supporting cast that can play some of the best defense in basketball. There's still a top 5 defense in the league, and Chris Middleton has barely played. That helps not only their defense, but obviously their offense. The Bucks right now definitely need another level of shot creation. Chris Middleton should provide that when he comes back. I expect him to get back into full form, but like I said earlier, I would not be surprised if this is just the beginning of Chris Middleton's decline.
All right, I get what he's saying. But I don't know. All he said basically is the Bucks are frauds because Chris Middleton isn't playing right now. That's what I took from it. He said they got great defense. People are playing the best that they've ever played. Brook Lopez is 40% from 3. Jrue Holiday is playing the best ball I've ever seen him play. Giannis, he's averaging his 30 point, 12 rebound. One of the top 5 defenses in the NBA. But Chris Middleton isn't there. Chris Middleton's not there, so they're frauds. And then he did talk about Pat Connaughton and Grayson Allen, which obvious. That's obvious. That's always been the case. They've always been stinkers. So you can flip them, move them, whatever. But saying that the team is a fraud because they don't have their second best player is kind of crazy. And then even without their second best player, they're the 3rd seed in the East. They're 23-12. That sounds like a pretty good team to me. That sounds like a team that not only can make a championship run, but they can make the championship run without having their second best player play at an all-star level. Now, if Chris Middleton is just back on the floor and he can knock down a timely 3, knock down a couple timely 3s, make the defenders make the defenders stick to him because they still have to worry about him knocking down them 3s. That's all we need. Well, I'm saying that's all the Bucks need, because you never, like, it's crazy because like with the Bulls, I feel like if Lonzo Ball was back, you never know how much one person can change how much one person can change the team. If Lonzo Ball was back, I feel like the Bulls would be in a completely different situation because defensively, they'll have another perimeter defender, and then their offensive end will have a better facilitator and a guy that can knock down a 3-point shot. That's just one person. So I feel like it's the same thing for the Milwaukee Bucks. They're just one person away, and that one person is Chris Middleton. Once he gets back, once he starts playing regularly, like you said, he's only played 7 games. We're 30 games into the NBA season. 30 plus games into the NBA season. He's only played 7 games. Of course he's not going to look like Chris Middleton. Of course he's not going to go out there and average 20 points per game. Towards the All-Star break, past the All-Star break, once he's in a lineup more frequently, once him, Brook Lopez, Giannis, and Jrue Holiday, once they're all on the court at the same time, I feel like this team is going to be unstoppable. Like we're seeing some of it now without Chris Middleton on the court. We're seeing Giannis drop 45 points, 20 rebounds, 6 assists without Chris Middleton on the court. So when he has that pressure off of him to just bulldoze his way to the rim, to carry this team, to drop 30 plus points per game, and he can relax a little bit more. He can be more poised with his shots. He's not jacking up threes. On a defensive end, he's a little bit more active because he doesn't have to work as hard offensively because Chris Middleton is there. This team's going to be one of the better teams in the NBA. But those are just my faults. This is a good video. I like this video. I thought this video was going to be some BS, but I enjoyed watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like button, comment, subscribe, and I'll see all of you in the next video. Peace out.